Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're down the road with our neighbour's tractor, just slashing their small block. And I thought I'd just run through quickly how the slasher operates and some of the adjustments on it. Now we're in a little locality that has a bundle of 10-acre blocks here, but if you look over there on the horizon, the next two properties over, that's I think 6,000 or 7,000 acre farm there. So these small little blocks are required to have all the grass on them slashed, just to reduce fuel loading for if a fire comes through here. In summer we get very bad fires, and so this is just to help mitigate some of it. Today we're using a little Massy Ferguson 65 tractor. These are a great small tractor. They're getting a bit old now, but there's still an awful lot of them being used. They're a really solid tractor. They've got this one's got a Perkins diesel engine in it. And they're you can pick these up quite cheaply, and they're very reliable. They just keep going. On the back here we've got the slasher. I'll lift it up in a minute and show you the blades underneath. Before we do that, there's two things that we've got to check on it. There's a little gearbox here, and this is oil filled. The filler is on the top here, and there's a bung halfway down here. This is the oil level bung. I've already loosened it off. We're just going to take this out and make sure there's oil in it. We can see a little bit of oil running out there, so we know that the gearbox has enough oil in it. They're a very small gearbox, so they don't need to leak much before you've got rid of all your oil and you blow up your gearboxes very quickly. So we're just going to tighten that back up. Now the other piece of maintenance we need to do before we start, this shaft here is the PTO shaft that takes power from the PTO on the tractor down to the gearbox to drive the cutters underneath. And on this shaft there's two grease nipples. One on each of the universal joints here, there is a grease nipple. So we're just going to grease both of them up. There's also, if we look in here, there is a slip clutch. Now this is so that if we hit a big rock or a big piece of wood or something and it jams up the cutters underneath, we don't break the shaft or blow up the gearbox. In theory, this clutch will just slip, and we won't damage anything. Okay, so I couldn't get a good view of the grease nipples on the PTO shaft with the camera, so I'll just show you on this one on the front wheel here. This is our grease gun. These come in a number of different sizes and shapes. This one's a cartridge one, so there's a grease cartridge internally in here. When we pull this lever here, it pumps grease out the nozzle down this end. There's a little clip-on nozzle here that fits over the grease nipple. So to grease things up, we simply clip that on and squeeze the handle. And usually when the bearing or whatever it is full of grease, you can either hear it start to come out or you can see it coming out somewhere. And then we just pull it sideways and it comes off again. Greasing things is really important maintenance. A lot of people, because you can't see that it's run out of grease, people forget about it and think, I'll just use it this one more time and I'll grease it next time. If you don't grease things, they wear out really quickly and it doesn't take long to do it, so it's a really good idea just to make that little bit of an effort. Now the slasher at the moment is sitting pretty level with the ground. We can see the front is sitting just up slightly. Now there is an adjustment here on the back of the 3-point linkage to set how level the slasher is. By turning this, this one's seized up, but by turning this here, one of these is a left-hand thread, the other one is a normal thread. So whichever way we turn this, it will either close it up and make this link shorter or make it longer to set the level of the slasher. Now when we're slashing, if we want the grass to be cut and come out as long stalks still, so that we could rake it up for hay or something like that. If we set the slasher so that the back is higher than the front of it, it will mow the grass and spit it out the back, and it will be still in nice long stalks. If we set the slasher so that the back is lower than the front, it will cut the grass at the front, but it will hold it in at the back, and it will mulch it up far more into shorter pieces. We're just going to leave it set level for today. That'll be fine for what we need. Okay, I've lifted the slasher right up on the 3-point linkage so we can have a look underneath it. These are the blades here, and they swivel on the main mounting point in the middle, so that if we hit a piece of wood or a rock right out here on the end of them, they should just fold back and keep going out the way, and they make a horrible noise and lots of sparks. So while we're doing this job, we need to be really careful that we don't start a fire with this dry grass that we're going to be slashing. It's not too bad because it's still got a fair amount of green in it, but if we leave this for another week, it is quite a fire risk while we're slashing it. So we do have a fire unit parked here today, just to make sure we don't cause too much damage. So we need to make sure that these blades are still in good condition. These ones are fine. These are quite heavy duty blades. The other thing you can check while you're under here is just that there's no movement in that main bearing in the gearbox, and that feels pretty good on this one. Okay, so I'll just run you through the controls on the tractor quickly. Obviously we've got our steering wheel here, we've got our accelerator over here. This tractor only has a hand accelerator, oil pressure gauge and tacho, which is not working, and there should be a temperature gauge here. Down here we have the engine stop. Pull it out, and on this one it locks out to stop the engine. We have 2 gear levers here. The long one is your main gearbox with reverse, first, second, third. It is only a 3 forward speed. This one is your high and low range, and it should need to be in neutral here to start it. I don't think the neutral cutout is working on this tractor, which means you need to be careful to not have it in gear when you start it. So low range is forward, high range is back, in the middle is neutral. We have our clutch down on this side, and we have a lever here which is to put the PTO in and out of gear. On these particular tractors, you can either pull the lever backwards, it's not going to go into gear just at the moment, to connect the PTO to the engine, or you can push the lever forward, and this connects it to the back wheels. So the PTO only turns if you are driving, if the tractor is moving along. And this is useful for certain applications, but it doesn't get used a huge amount. But it's good if you're spreading fertilizer or something like that. You only want the fertilizer to go out while you are moving, not while you are sitting with the tractor running. Okay, so on this side of our tractor, we've got our 2 brake pedals. These are steering brake pedals. At the moment, they're locked together so that you put your foot on one pedal and the brakes work on both wheels. We can move this lever here, and that unlocks them so they work independently. If we're turning in really tight circles with row crop work or something like that, sometimes it's useful to be able to turn the steering wheel full lock and stand on one brake to just make you turn a bit faster. We'll leave them locked together today. This one also has a handbrake on it. So you push this little lever forward and that locks the brakes on. To take the handbrake off, you pull the lever back and stand on the brakes again, the brakes come off. Under here we have a diff lock lever. This means that in boggy ground, if one wheel is spinning, we can stand on this, it locks both back wheels together and they will both turn together. We have our auxiliary hydraulic lever here. This is if we're using a machine on the back that has hydraulics on it to raise and lower it or something like that. And we have our 3-point linkage control here. That's up and down to lift the slasher up and down. All right, let's see if this is going to work for us today. Okay, I'm not going to talk while I actually do this, but we're going to make sure that the stop is pushed in. We're going to start the tractor. We're going to lift the slasher slightly. We're going to put the slasher, the PTO into gear using this lever down here. And we're going to let the clutch out so that we can make sure that the slasher is turning properly. Then we're going to go into gear on our main gearbox and bring the revs up a little bit, and we should be able to get going. So I'm going to do... One of the other things that's important when you're slashing, when you turn tight corners, it's important just to lift the slasher a little bit off the ground and drop it back down as you come out of the corner. This stops it putting too much sideways pressure on the slasher as you are turning. Okay, so we've successfully slashed the two little bits, or the three little bits here that we've got to do. Now it's time to jump back on the tractor and drive it home again. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video of the Massy 65 slashing, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.